The NASCAR 25 game developers have started to put out dev videos talking about the process of creating this brand new NASCAR game that is set to hit the shelves sometime in fall of 2025. But about 13 months until the game hits the shelves, are these videos overhyping this new game? Are they underselling it? Should fans be excited? Should they go out and pre-order this? And what should their realistic expectations be going into this new game? Will this be another NASCAR 21 Ignition, or could we see possibly the greatest NASCAR game of all time? And are we overhyping it? Let's break it down today on Shifting Gears.
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Me?
Can I not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, you guys! Way to go, boys! One hell of a job, man, one hell of a job. Thank you so much.
All right. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's actually talk about the facts on this one. Welcome on into the program. I am Alan Bailey. I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys some of the footage from the NASCAR Thunder series that we ran last fall. We had a blast doing it. We will be bringing it back sometime this winter in an abbreviated form with the AI on iRacing. Very excited about that. Before we get into the NASCAR 25 stuff, though, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a video. And of course, make sure that you log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I want to go ahead and put this out here. Here are the facts. Here's what we know about NASCAR 25. It is going to be a simulator type style game. That is what we know. It is going to be available for all of the major consoles. We don't have specific details on if it's going to be on the PS5, the PS4, and so on and so forth. We just know that iRacing and Monster Games is working with Microsoft for the Xbox and with Sony for the PlayStation, respectfully, and we're assuming we're going to get it on Steam as well and on mobile devices. They already announced that this game will be coming out sometime in fall of 2025. We're hearing it's going to be either early, mid, or late September of 2025. No official date has been announced yet because development is very much still happening over at Monster Games with iRacing's assistance for this new NASCAR game. Now, I want to throw this out there. We do need to curb our excitement and our enthusiasm for this, and the dev videos that were put out over the course of the last couple of weeks during this Olympic break for NASCAR in 2024 are kind of doing the opposite of that. They're, I don't want to say overhyping, but they kind of are overhyping everything just a little bit.
I think what I'm very excited about, though, is what we're going to do with NASCAR 25. I think we have the group of people with Monster and with Papyrus pedigrees that have shipped many NASCAR games, that know what these products are supposed to be, that know what our customers want from these products.
That's iRacing Executive Vice President Steve Myers right there. And he's right. You have a lot of veteran people who have worked on many generations of NASCAR games throughout the years, coming together, pooling their resources and their knowledge and their passion to develop this game. That alone right there tells me that this game and this license is in excellent hands. I'm not going to go ahead and go over everything that happened with motorsport games and NASCAR 21 Ignition and the failure on pretty much every conceivable way of that game. It's been extremely well documented, and I don't want to rehash the negatives of the past. I want to look towards the future with this one. And yes, these have all the pieces, have all the building blocks to truly create a brilliant, wonderful, amazing NASCAR game. And they themselves have continued to hype up everything around this game. And to be honest with you, with all of that in mind, I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm kind of the mentality of don't overhype yourself and don't expect too much because you don't want to get your expectations too high and let yourself down. Everything that we build up in our head is always going to be bigger in our head than it is in real life, and I kind of put that pressure on NASCAR 21 myself when I heard what was happening over at the studio. Everybody was saying, oh, it's going to be a great ground-building kind of beginner game that's going to really create the future brilliantly and really shape what NASCAR console gaming will look like for the next 10 to 15 years. Obviously, that didn't work out, and obviously we're in a different place now, and I think iRacing knows that, and The thing that really has me a little worried is how iRacing, NASCAR, and Monster Games have all kind of come together, and they're already comparing this game to some of the great NASCAR titles of the past.
If you assembled a group of our fans, I guarantee you 98% of them would say their favorite game is NASCAR Racing 2003, Dirt to Daytona, or probably one of the mid-2000s EA titles. Think about this. We have the incredible talent behind each of these classics working on this game. I think that's incredible.
So we've got this amazing team. We've got iRacing laser scan assets. We've got the iRacing physics experts. You put all that together and we have the perfect recipe for success.
Okay, I'll give you that. This is the perfect recipe for success. Are we overhyping this, though? That is my concern, and I do think that that's the reality where we are. We cannot go into this honestly thinking that this is going to be a NASCAR Dirt to Daytona, or a NASCAR Racing 2003, or even a NASCAR Thunder 2004. Every single one of those games had literally 5 games before that the devs worked on, built on, and eventually led to that. I think that thinking that this is going to be one of the greatest NASCAR games of all time right out of the gate in 2025 is extremely foolish and naive of us. We need to curve those expectations right here, right now. This is not going to be one of the greatest NASCAR console games of all time. And I think that, like the potential that NASCAR 21 Ignition had, this one could potentially be the building block for something truly great. But you look at EA, you look at Papyrus, you look at even Monster Games when they had the license in the late 90s, early 2000s, their first games to market were not the best, let's just say, not to diss anybody, but they were learning. They had to fundamentally figure some things out. And the fact that Monster Games did the NASCAR Heat Series pretty recently before Motorsport Games got their hand on the license and did NASCAR Heat 5, they did have a leg up. The fact that iRacing has been working with NASCAR for 15 plus years and they have incredible assets that they are sharing and porting into this game is a leg up. I do think that this will be potentially one of the best NASCAR first games from a developer that we've ever seen. And with that in mind, I do think that 3, 4, 5 years from now, we are potentially entering the greatest NASCAR game of all time territory. I'm not going to sit here and list out a to-do list for iRacing and Monster Games. They're very, very, very aware of what they need to put in this game in order to make it successful and make it fun for the fans. And I think that they potentially will deliver on that. At the very bare minimum, I know there's going to be a rearview mirror, which apparently was very tricky for our friends over at Motorsport Games. I don't expect it to have the Xfinity or the truck or even a dirt or late model type program, potentially the cars program down the road. I think that all of that being added to the game eventually would be wonderful. Getting a Dirt to Daytona or a NASCAR 05 kind of feel to the game would be amazing. However, I don't think that that's where this dev team is really focusing their resources and their attention right now. They're trying to get the basic career down. They're trying to get the race now, the online. They're trying to get all of these features down so that there's no basic functionality issues with the game, which is what I want from my dev team right out of the gate. That's what they should be focusing on. Once you figure out the basic building blocks, you can start to go in and add other series and add other fantasy tracks and other crazy fun things that made the other games from EA and Papyrus and from Monster Games so amazing. Will we get there? I do think so. This is a long-term contract with NASCAR, with iRacing, with Monster Games. I do think we're going to get 10 plus years out of Monster Games and iRacing developing this NASCAR series. And I do think that it is in good hands. I do think that this first one is going to be extremely bare bones basic, though. I think it's going to look and feel, as far as features and things like that, probably closer to a NASCAR Thunder 02, maybe even a Heat 4, because that's what the series was when they last had it. Will it drive like iRacing? I don't think so necessarily, because they do want to go for that simulation type feel, but it's not a one-to-one clone of iRacing. Let's be clear on that right here, right now. I want to hear from you. What are your realistic expectations for NASCAR 25 when it releases in fall of 2025? Are you planning on pre-ordering it? Are you going to hold the devs accountable for the positives and the negatives and be honest? I don't think we need to bash them when it comes out for every little minor thing, but I think that we need to honestly look at this game and really evaluate it once we get our hands on it and once we actually play it. I am cautiously optimistic. To be very bluntly honest, after my experience with NASCAR 21 Ignition, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to pre-order it. I don't know if I want to make that kind of commitment to a company right out of the gate. If anybody has earned that at this point, it's probably iRacing and Monster Games, but honestly, I've been hurt before, and it still stings a little. I still have a little PTSD with NASCAR 21 Ignition, and I know you do as well. So let me know in the comments what you think, and while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you come back for the next video, and of course, make sure that you log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. I want to thank you so much for watching. For Shifting Gears, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.